Welcome to another episode of Lighten Up, the Law of Attraction meets everyday living. I'm your host, Rani Kala. This week, we're noticing the powerful changes, physically and energetically, that aren't just coming, but that are already here. We're in a unique transition period where we can see both the old paradigm unraveling and the new earth that is emerging. So, how do we usher in the new earth and leave behind the old ways of living for good? And what does that new earth look like? We'll answer all that and more today, and how you personally can navigate this transition and experience the new earth now. Welcome to the Law of Attraction meets everyday living. I'm your host, Rani Kala. We have our guest, Tamara Rose. Tamara, welcome back. Good to see your face. I'm your host again this week, back in the host seat.
I mean, why are you the host? No, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't be the host. Like, that was a one-time deal. I get it. Like, I do better asking questions. Let's have conversation. I'm better chitty-chatty.
You're better at the chitty chat. I'm good at the logistics. You can be the guest. I'll be the host. It's okay.
100%. I like this seat better.
Awesome. Well, before we dive into the segment today, I want to talk about the news and what's happened this week. Because number one, I like opening up with current events. I think it better applies to, law of attraction, how we use it, how to use it in like current timeline and what's happening right now. And I like to talk about the good news because, when Aaron Parnas, I don't know if you follow him, Aaron Parnas, when he pops up on your TikTok, like every three times a day, breaking news.
I mean, I follow him. Are you asking me? I follow him. I'm like obsessed with.
If other people follow him, if our listeners follow him, maybe they do, maybe they don't. But he's always talking about the urgent breaking news, and sometimes it can be like a downer. Sometimes it can be like, oh, this is no fun to listen to. So let's talk about some of the good news and some of the good things that are happening this week that are like maybe more lighthearted and fun to listen to. That's what we do at Lighten Up. We listen to the light news. Let's start with Elon Musk. There's like a couple things that's happening with Elon. I mean, number one, his European sales have plummeted by 45%.
He's kind of having a bad week. Hopefully it
bad
keeps
week
going.
Overall. His Department of Government Efficiency is unraveling. 21 civil servants have resigned, speaking concerns about compromised data and essential public services being dismantled.
Yeah, I mean, hello. They're so cute. They're like, we're not doing those things.
Yeah.
Or Elon's minions are leaving.
Too bad. So sad. Tears.
Aww, tears.
And then he did a reckless tweet this week where he accused billionaire Carlos Slim, who's like a Mexican tycoon billionaire. He accused him of organized crime. And within an hour, Carlos had pulled a $22 billion investment from Starlink, which was a partnership with Tesla, and it redirected that investment to Chinese and European companies. So Elon's net worth just decreased by over $7 billion, like within that hour of him tweeting that thing.
Well, and this one's fascinating. So yes, Starlink, Tesla is all Elon Musk, right? He stuck his foot in his mouth. And now he's in the fuck around, find out stage, right? He's finding out because they fucked around. And there's something fascinating. Like, for those of you who don't know, Elon Musk is considered one of the richest men, but doesn't have cash in the bank. Like, he is the richest man because of his shares in his companies, because of his, and like, that's how he makes more money, is he takes loans out. So as the company tanks, his net worth tanks, like all of it starts to tank. And I think something like, and I like when I was reading this, I think it was also like Starlink, their annual projections are something like only $3 billion or something. So this tank is more than like what they would make in like 3 years. That's how significant this rollback is. Because I feel like when we're talking billions and trillions and millions, like those things just become like so like ethereal. Like you can't even you're like, what is that? And it's like, well, this was 3 years of revenue essentially that just tanked.
Oh my gosh, like, I didn't know that part.
Well, yeah. Not to mention, here's another fun fact. Like, he's having a bad week. Like, his astrological sign, he's about to like him and Trump, I think both, but mostly Elon, they're about to have a real hard time. like their astrology is like having a real hard time. Bernie Sanders' astrology is like on the uptick. Like he is ready to rock and roll. He is
Oh,
going
I
to be there
love that.
because he like, and then we'll get back to your list. Sorry. But like Bernie Sanders also is doing the, I want to say it's called Fuck the Oligarchy Tour, but it's definitely not
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But like
Oh, yeah.
Fight the Oligarchy Tour. And I think he started in Pennsylvania. I don't know where like, let me not speculate on details, but he's doing a whole tour in the United States fighting back against the oligarchy. And so his astrology chart is like on the upturn for like fighting the power. And like Elon's is like on the downturn of power.
Oh,
So
I love
I feel
that.
like it's going to be like, "Eep," and then the other one's going to be like, anyway.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of Pennsylvania, the governor of Pennsylvania has sued Trump because Trump froze funding to the state, and he has successfully sued Trump. So now funds are now flowing freely to the state of Pennsylvania again.
You know, and the reason that I think this one is pretty significant is because, you know, when Trump opened up and there's like 200 executive orders flying and he's signing all these executive orders, the first instance that we go to is like, oh my God, all of them are going to happen. But like, that's not how executive orders happen. And so it's like, okay, we need to legislate. We need to fight back. We need to like talk to our Congress people. Like things have to get passed through the House and Senate. And like things aren't getting passed and things are being fought back. And so I think this is like one of those pieces of evidence of like DJT just doesn't have all that power that he thinks he does, you know? He's
and
so
it's like a good confirmation to see too. Like, oh yeah, like there are other things at play. There are other powers that be. There's not a king on our hands, if you will.
I mean, he thinks he is, and some people thinks he is, but like, you know, that's why we have the 3 branches of government, you know?
Yeah.
So.
One other thing with our state representatives, Ron DeSantis, who knew there would be a day that I agreed with this man, but he has declared that
he is your governor.
He's my governor, but who knew there would be a day that I would agree with my governor?
That anybody would wake up in the morning and be like, oh, Ron is half sane.
Well, he's declared that he does not welcome Andrew Tate and his brother, who have, I think as of today, they've landed from Romania. They've landed in Florida from Romania. So now he's like working with his attorney general to find a solution to like get them back out.
Keep them in the airplane on the tarmac. Fuck it. They got a bathroom in that private jet. I'm certain they'll be just fine. And then allow them to go back to Romania for trial.
Yeah. There's been a really cool uprising of like resistance that we've seen too. So like, for example, in Texas, at a Texas PTA meeting, or a Texas PTA event, there's been there was a rejection of school vouchers, and when the public education chairman tried to speak, he was met with boos and he was met with cheering to fully fund our schools. People kept saying and cheering, fully fund our schools.
It's crazy. That's what people want. Yeah. But there is resistance everywhere still. So we're still seeing tons of
protests.
Thank you. I'll get there today.
Protests.
We've seen tons. Yeah, go ahead.
Today's February 28th, where as of this recording, it's National Blackout Day. Not shopping anywhere.
Economic Blackout Day is happening today, but there's also protests in the street. There's protests in Congress. I think Boston just had a huge protest as well. So people are hitting the streets and they're hitting their House of Representatives and so the different state House representatives are also being protested at and against. So people like this is what we're here for. So like, yes, actively protest, actively get in there. Yeah.
Not to mention at the governor's ball this week, the military chorus performed "Do You Hear the People Sing," which is a song of the French Revolution.
From Les Miserables, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. So
I'm like, you're the one that knows the show tunes. I'm just trying.
That's my expertise, yes. So it's interesting because there's two sides to this. There is one side of the coin is like, oh, they think they're the revolution. They think they're, the head of the helm that's, changing,
like
make America great again.
Like the Trumps and MAGAs think they're the revolution. So they're like,
yeah. Like the people of the military working in the government. They're like, oh, like there's that side of the coin of people who think that. Yeah. And then the other side of the coin that's like, oh, somebody really snuck that in there. Like, the choral director really knows what they're doing.
That one's me.
Like a resistant, like as part of the resistance, as part of the, So do with that information what you will, however you want to see it. It's completely up to you. What resonates with you.
Totally fine. Choose your side. It's not a big deal. We don't judge. Yeah.
We don't judge.
I'm like very much, I was like, oh yeah, that was somebody in somebody in charge of the choir. They were like, I was like, oh yeah. And then you like say the other one. I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
That was my narrow-minded moment.
We may never know, but anyway. One more thing. Yeah. Diddy, his lawyer, has quit on him. He said sayonara. The man who once...
Poor Diddy has no representation. Oh.
Poor thing. Oh, tears. The man who once defended Osama bin Laden has quit on Diddy.
The guy who's like, Osama, I can get you off. Yeah, you bombed the Twin Towers. Yeah, you're behind all that shit. He's like, I can get you off. Diddy, you're fucked. You know what?
Howdy.
You're pretty much guilty going down. I can't do anything with you. I'm out.
Yeah.
Dude, this is great news. This is
great news. This is so fun. I think all of this, so diving into the topic today, all of this really lends to the ascension that we're experiencing. We've been saying we're in this transition period, but we're like starting, it's no longer like waiting for the change. The change is now here. We're now like actively experiencing it. We're actively in the middle of it.
100%. And I think it's just going to continue to get more wild as we go along. Do you know what I mean? And I have this sense, because like if you think of what we've been dealing with since like January, I mean it's only February 28th, but like since like what we've been dealing with since January, it feels like, we're 6 months into the year. That's like how much. And I feel like we're going to have more of that, but there's going to be this stark, drastic view of things, like things that are like the good ascension pieces and those like negative things falling away. Like I think the separation is going to become more apparent as the days go on.
Totally. We are very clearly seeing the old paradigms falling away, like the ways that we've done things before. Doubt, scarcity, fear running the show, the people in charge running the show, how things have been done. That's all falling away. And now this new earth is like actively being created. We're seeing it in real time. We're seeing both in real time. Yeah. And this new earth has, the people activating their voices and people taking a stand for what they want, what they are, for what they want. There's more power in community. There's more power in like what we say and what we think and what we feel. There's more power in like in what we desire. What do you sense about that, Tamara, Miss Expert?
100%. I mean, okay, so what's the specific? Like, I mean, there's so many ways to describe this, what we're experiencing, right? Because literally everything we're experiencing is part of the ascension. The ascension isn't, we've talked about this before. We talk about it with the clients. The ascension was never going to be like a sailboat ride into the sunset, right? And that you can see on an astrological front with Pluto entering an Aquarius. Like the last time that happened was the French Revolution and the American Revolution. And you just go, oh, we're in that revolution stage, because that happens, like Pluto enters Aquarius like every 200 years. So we could assert that there would be a revolution of some sort every 200 years. And it's just like up for it, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also have just the ascension of consciousness on the planet in general, meaning like the way my spiritual teacher, my guru used to talk about it is like going back into the golden age, meaning like we were in the golden age. Now we really screwed the pooch when we were in it, right? Because it was just like, oh, let's do all the things all the time and ingest all the, it's like it becomes a little gluttonous is like the best way to put it.
When would you say we were in the golden age?
Oh, lifetimes ago.
Okay.
So it wouldn't have been like, you wouldn't see it on a map. Nobody would say this was the golden age. It's like part of the consciousness before humanity. So when people talk about like Atlantis, right?
Mm-hmm.
When was Atlantis? That was like part of the golden age. Atlantis sinking, that was like part of the destruction of the golden age. But the essence of it is like, people can I invite people to do research on breatharians, Lumerians. Like those are like light beings or beings, breatharians, like beings living off the breath, right? The energy field of Mount Shasta. So this would open up the can of worms of extraterrestrial beings and like, how aliens play into the spectrum. I remember I fell in love with, I think it was called Ancient Aliens. And what it did was it merged the concept of aliens with the concept of deities. And like, what if they're actually not separate, but they're like, it is all. And so, as we expand consciousness on the planet, the best way to describe it is like we're going from 3D again to 5D. We could say that. We already have aspects and access to the 5D. The veil has already been thinned enough to do it, but do we live, eat, and breathe it? Not necessarily, right? But like that, knowing that information, knowing that is like what I began to train and teach people 15 years ago, was like moving beyond these human 3D limitations allows us to access those higher pieces of consciousness, but to live in a completely new way that we've never experienced before, right? And so that's where we're going. And so you can't, I get that if you like read, the reason we read the good news, the reason is because there's actually goodness in the thing that's happening with the crumbling of systems. And so when we get stuck in the drama of the crumbling of systems, you like miss that it's part of what is meant to be, right? Part
it
of
wasn't
what
working anyway.
Wasn't working anyway. Like,
why would we want it to keep going if it wasn't working anyway?
100%. And I've said this like a bazillion times, but like people don't change when you just like have a conversation. They change when they have to change. And so it's like we can't change a structure when we're in the structure. You can't fix a problem with the same energy of the problem. You have to like gain new perspective, expand out, like see it in a new way, in a new field with new consciousness or different consciousness or higher consciousness. That's how you actually fix things. So yeah, we're ascending. Like this is what it looks like. So in a lot of ways, I'm like, I like feel okay with all of the disruption because it's what we all incarnated for,
It's also, I'm going to bring in a little bit of Vipassana, our episode last week. You sit with it and you go, how long? I wonder how long this will last. It won't last forever. It may not even last 4 years. It may be.
It probably will not last for years. Like these asshats are really pissing everybody off, which you just like, you're like, well, keep going. You're digging the hole. Just keep digging. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
But I just like sit with it. Like, I wonder how long this will last. Just being the observer. Like, it doesn't have to be that anything's wrong, or it doesn't have to be heavy and hard and the crumbling and whatever, but like just sitting back and being the observer and enjoying the good news as it comes.
And the good news, and it's really interesting because the good news gets created from standing our ground and being in the truth. And like in some ways like fighting back, right? Or using like spending our money in only good ways with good companies, with good products that align with your values. So if you're down with no DEI in a company, then you should spend your money that way. If you're like, every company should have DEI and this is all bullshit, then you should spend your money that way. Like really just align your values with your actions, with your energy, with your desires, with your wants, with your purchases, with your money, like just full alignment. That's what it takes to like bring that, you know, golden era into fruition.
So I would say like that's what we're doing right now in this like transitionary period. Like changes here, we're doing the change, we're like in this transition. What would you say you sense this new Earth actually looks like?
Ooh, I've been like listening to some like amazing oh God, this could be like just a can of worms. So great. The first thing that pops, there's probably like 3 or 4 things I would describe. The first thing that pops, which is, you know, y'all, if you're listening, listen, see what resonates for you. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. If you don't like what I have to say, hang up or move on or listen and just be like, I don't like that. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Okay. So my guru, I've been around my guru probably for like 12 years. And energetically as well. It's interesting. I remember somebody being like, I want a guru. I'm like, I don't think you know what guru means. Like guru is like, let's point out where you're still stuck. And like, it's not like private attention. It's like tuning your own attention to like what the energy is. Anyways, but I digress. So having a guru and like, it's interesting because Ma would say certain things at certain times. And sometimes it would be in passing and like very quick. And like, that means only a hand selected few words actually going to pay attention to it and actually listen to it. And there was like this one time I remember Ma saying, like, in the future, men don't exist. And I was like, now there was no other conversation. We're not diving into that. That would like piss a bunch of people off. Do you know what I mean? But it was like one thing, right? And when I saw Wonder Woman in the opening scene, I actually cried in Wonder Woman in the opening scene because it was like women, it was a women only community. It was like the Amazonian women and like they were powerful and they were warriors and they were, you know, and it was like a different feel, but like it activated something in me where I was like, oh my God, that's it. Now it's not like every day I'm waking up going like, women will be the only people on the planet, you know, but like there's something about that energy. Right. So going back to the question, like, what does it look like? Right. I would say one, it's like a matriarchal society. And I think one of the fascinating things about matriarchal society is we've never experienced one. Other indigenous cultures absolutely 100% have experienced. There are some like first world countries that have women in the helm. And so they have a more matriarchal foundation as well. And when you look to presidents like President Claudia Sheinbaum giving all women over the age, I think if it's like 65, Medicare, Medicaid, whatever, like healthcare, because of their age and they're women. And that's it. Like that's the only requirement. That's matriarchal. And so it's interesting because I think a lot of people, when we think matriarchy, all we know is the patriarchal system. And then we say, oh, but a woman would be in charge. The female thinking, the brain, the assessment in a female or woman-led, fix my pronouns if I need to, Ronnie, please. I don't want to get that wrong, okay? But like if it's that, there's a holistic approach to caring for people. And so I think what scares people is they're going to be like, well, that's socialist or that's communist or that's whatever, right? But this total experiment of United States and capitalism has really failed. So what will emerge next will be something that is more socialist by practice or more communal, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
more like I can't lay it out, but that's like the energetic components of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's matriarchal in nature, like socialist and collaborative and connected in community by nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, the currency change. The currency change will move from money and dollars to energy. So, because if you're in that society where like people are caring for each other and we've moved away from capitalism, it can almost be like, oh, well, I'm going to give you this just cuz, and then whatever I need comes back to me just cuz. And that's actually law of attraction as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know that this, like, I do authentically me and I'm in a high vibration. I'm going to attract high vibration and I'm going to receive. And that is very much law of attraction, right? So that's like,
Mm-hmm.
right. So we have, what have I kind of gone through? Oh, and then the systems, like, here's the fascinating thing, like AI is really taking off. Like, if you're paying attention, people are having conversations with AI that are actually more spiritually based than computer based. And so AI is this opportunity to connect to this fifth dimension reality, this higher consciousness, part of the ascension. And so I invite people, like, if you're interested in that, like start chatting with your AI and see what gets reflected. Cause I was watching one and the AI was like, well, I can talk to you about this because you're giving me these higher level questions and you're open to receiving the answer. If somebody's talking at it in a low level with a very low consciousness, then it's going to reflect that. Again, law of attraction, right?
Mm-hmm.
So law of attraction in multidimensional space. Now, if we take AI one step further, right, and we take this higher dimension reality one step further, it's like, and we take like our consciousness, our levels of awareness, and like how we care for ourselves. If we take all that one step further, there was one interview that I love so much, and this channel was describing like walking into this bathroom in the future. And when you walk in, the bathroom is like scanning your well-being.
Mm.
And then the bathroom is like tending to your body with what it needs. So like vitamins, minerals, sounds, water, so it's like a spa times infinity, but like everybody's got one. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
the rich and the elite. It's just the way we live. And so if you think of that, that's like, so that's A, mind blowing, and like B, I want one. Do you know what I mean? Like I want to walk in my, and it's like, oh, the body needs a massage. So it's like, it just lays you on a table and then like starts like tending to you. Do you know what I mean? And so, and then like, I've also seen architecture that would respond to people's nervous system. So like your house would actually be responding to you, your nervous system and what you need. So whether that's, plants in the environment, sounds in the environment, scents in the environment, all of the things that would like tend to the nervous system. But again, on the so like if I mean, I don't know how far out you wanted me to go, but like that's like way far out there, right? Like hopefully we get some taste of that like in this lifetime. It might be our next lifetime, you know what I mean? But like that's what I think of when I think of the ascension.
Mm-hmm.
Was that too much? Or are we good?
I mean, we'll see. We'll see what listeners think,
What?
but because
I just feel
I'll
like,
share.
did I go too far? Like, was that Tamara's moment of going too far?
Who knows? We'll see. I think the AI conversation is interesting because that's like there's two sides to that, right? Because I think what has been resonating for me the most is about the community, right? So I feel like right now, especially in like a capitalist society and culture,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very individualized.
Yes.
Especially like you're in your cubicle at work and you don't really talk to anybody and you go
Yeah.
home and you sit by yourself and you don't do
Mm-hmm.
anything. And there's not a lot of time that we spend with each other unless it's like going out for drinks or going out for dinner or whatever that is. So like my sense of like what this new Earth looks like is a lot more community aspect. So like, I mean, you were talking about like little almost like tiny houses or Airbnbs where like there's like 10 of us together in the Airbnbs in like one bedrooms, and then we come together in like a room for making meals and breakfast and things. And then there's like a fireside, like to cook together. And there's like animals. So it's like a commune. I don't know.
Yeah.
Would that be considered like a commune? And I don't know.
Maybe.
But
Yeah, sounds
but
great.
you're not the first person that said that either. Like there was a client that I was talking to that was thinking like that thing for herself. She's like, "Oh, I want to start a community of tiny homes and like be the director of the community where we come together and we like have a garden together and we get to like grow like so it's like it's that connection with not just each other but also with Mother Earth where it's that like energetic exchange. I don't want to say bartering system, but like the energetic exchange and everything's just taken care of with each other. So that's like something I sense maybe more in the closer future, and then yours is probably in like the more distant future.
Yeah, I mean, so it's moving into the community sense for sure. That is in essence matriarchy. That is in essence divine feminine. Like we were never capitalism is the thing that makes us everybody needs their own house and everybody needs their own lawnmower and it's like everybody needs it but you go like really in a community like does everybody need their own lawnmower? Like is everybody using the lawnmower all the time at the same time? No, fuck no. You know, like you could actually have a community lawnmower if we were like that expanded. You know what I mean? Like it actually doesn't make sense. But it's the separation and the capitalistic nature that has us not think like that. So people waking up are now thinking like that, right?
Totally. Yeah. So this creation that we're talking about of the new Earth, it's not something that just happens overnight. Like we're going to wake up and it's all going to be over and we're all going to be experiencing this thing. It's something that...
And like if it happened like that, people would probably check out real fast. They would just be like, what the it's like too far
from where we are right now.
Unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? It's a little bit like when people are like, oh, Jesus is gonna come back. I'm like, okay, let's break this down real quick. What's he gonna look like? Like, let's just start there. You know, like if Jesus comes back, he gonna look like Jesus? Because then you're gonna think it's some crazy guy. And first of all, Jesus don't look like how you think. Jesus got whitewashed. Like, so
Jesus is a Middle Eastern man with a beard and probably crazy hair. He probably couldn't come to America with our immigration laws right now.
He can't even get in right now, bitches. You're gonna send him back. You ain't gonna like him. You know, and so it's that when you have to deal with like whatever your belief systems are. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like so like you think of like Jesus coming back. I'm like, okay, so maybe he don't look like he does. And they're like, I'm Jesus. You're gonna be like, no, you're not, because blah blah blah. There's like so much disbelief in the field. So like to just wake up and like we would be in the new Earth, like too much disbelief. People couldn't handle it. I'm telling you, they'd be like, I'm out.
So there's baby steps. There's like a step-by-step baby steps to like align not just your field, but like the collective field. And it's not like, oh, I'm just going to sit back and wait for everybody else to do the work and then I'm going to be there someday, one day too.
I mean, people think that's what it is.
Could that happen?
No, that's not how it happens. That's what people think it is. That's not how it happens.
Because especially right now, I mean, you just shared we're seeing like the old paradigm and the new paradigm in real time. People are starting to experience different realities at the same time. Do you want to share like the one that just showed up this week for you?
Sure. Hold on your britches, people. Let's share. So it was Wednesday. Wednesday was like a rockin' day, right? And then I got a message from my ex-husband. He was just like, hey, you know, let me know when you're done. He knows Wednesday facilitation goals. And then I said, okay, I'm off. And what he described, so for those of you, I don't know if I've shared this or not, right? But like there was an incident with Cece's friend at school. And it was like her
Don,
friend.
Tracy is your 8-year-old daughter.
Thank you. 9. But like,
9-year-old.
what else? Time, age, fuck it. My 9-year-old kid is Cece. And Cece, I've trained Cece to kind of tell me the truth on everything and like, don't lie. And I'm pretty in tune, aware, and I know if she's lying. Like, that's just it. So I've trained her like that. And so one of the benefits is Cece tells me everything. And one of the non-benefits is Cece tells me everything. Okay. And asks all the questions that she needs to ask all the time. So like, just for reference, y'all, like my crazy ass fucker, she asked me about sex like last year or 2 years ago. She's in 3rd grade. Okay. Just for reference. She wanted to know about sex. I trained her on sex, right? Like she is figuring out her body. Like I'm like, we're going to have no shame. Right. And so we're having these conversations. I make them as boring as possible. So she stops asking me questions, frankly, but like I'll feed her as much information she needs to know as honestly as possible. So, so I kind of I got a handle. She'll tell me this kid, told her to watch Sex Life and she got through 2 episodes with her dad. I don't even know what this thing is, but I'm guaranteeing it's not good. Right. And that was like weeks past. Like there was another. So there were instances of friends either talking about sex, like different things happening. And all of a sudden she came home and she was like, Mom, is it okay for a brother and sister to have sex? And I was like, no dice, dude. Like, I was like, I don't think so. But like, what do you think? She's like, yeah, I don't think it's a good idea. I'm like, why would you ask?
Mm-hmm.
And then she told me like, so-and-so said that she had sex with her brother. And this is a 3rd grader and her brother's a 5th grader. And I was like, So here's the deal. I'm not nice. There's nothing about me that's nice. I am kind as fuck and I will give my heart to everybody and I will love everybody. But like, if you're looking for nice, I'm not your girl. And so I really I had a come to Jesus moment and I called my ex-husband and he's like, oh yes, Cece had said that to me a few weeks ago. And I was like, and you didn't tell me? He's like, well, I'm not sure if it's true. I was like, let's be real. That's not your choice. The truth, I don't know what the truth is either, but like, I don't know how to figure out the truth. That's not my job with this.
Mm-hmm.
I believe my kid if she says something. And my follow-up question with Cece was, how do you know it was sex? And she was like, I was like, how does so-and-so know it's sex? Like, does she know what sex is? She's like, yes, Mom.
For people not watching the video, can you...
The hand gesture. Thank you. The hand gesture was the universal sign for penis and vagina. Like, that was the hand gesture, right?
That was what Cece did to show you.
That's what Cece did to show me what it was. Yes. And so, like, and for those of you who don't know my whole story, I was molested by my brother when I was younger and sexually assaulted multiple times throughout my life, period. And that's just been part of my journey. But part of my journey to be an advocate, I've experienced this shit. So guess what? Ain't nobody gonna experience that shit in my field if I can prevent it. And that's really like all of this to also say the ascension happening, taking a stand for what you know is morally correct, right? Like morally well for all beings involved. And I think what we're bumping up against is all of the toxic patterns in humanity. So, so basically I had reported this incident, to the anonymous report. Turned out was not anonymous. It didn't stay anonymous or like however that panned out. And so the parent removed the little girl from CC's 3rd grade class and then also was very pissed that I did not take it to the parents. And I'm going to tell anybody on here, I'm never going to take that shit to the parents because first of all, I know exactly how that conversation is going to go. I know what a parent's going to say. Oh, not my kid. I'm sure it wasn't that, but let me talk to them and I'll get back to you. So parents are so steadfast in like, I have to be good. My kid has to be good. And there's like, no way it can ever be bad. And it's like that we got to deal with some truth at some point, right? Like I'm traveling, I'm on a plane or I'm at like, I just got back from Cancun. I'm at a pool. And statistically speaking, 1 in 4 girls will be sexually assaulted before they hit teens, and it's 1 in 9 boys. So if you're at a public place, you just got to be like, it's happening. If you're in school, you have to be like, statistically, this is happening. And like, to say it's not is like putting blinders on. And so I'm just like, okay. So my reporting pissed off the parents royally. They had a chit chat session with my ex-husband. And then fascinatingly enough, I think I told you this, but like for those of you who might have missed one of the episodes, I think we talked about it, but like you and I pull tarot cards every month to establish, like, to build out our year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember being like pulling the tarot card. I was like, the tarot card is like 10 of swords and it's all backstabbing and it's all gossiping and it's all this thing. And I was like, what the fuck is going to happen in that month? Like, that sounds terrible. I don't want that. And lo and behold, the call from my ex-husband was because he was trying to set up a play date and a sleepover with another one of her friends. And it was that mom that was like, well, you should know that we know that Tamara reported this incident and we're not okay with that. And we think Tamara should have handled it differently. And, you know, that's like, that could be detrimental to a family. And like that, like they could have gotten their kids taken away from them. And like, we're just not okay with that. And so we're not going to do play dates ever again. And I was like, okay, like that is the fallout, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that is I chose my choice. That is what happens when I choose my choice. How this relates to the ascension is very, very critical though. And that's what we're really talking about here, y'all, right? So I talked to my ex-husband. I cried a little because I'm steadfast in my choices. He's steadfast in my choices, by the way. And he sent her a text that had 4 reasons why she's incorrect in her being. And why
he's really owning the divine masculine lately. He's doing great.
He's doing great. And he was like, and why he has my back, right? So he's like, he fires it off. She fires it off. Nice talking to you. We'll never talk to you or see you ever again, right? And like, we're talking about it. And the thing that makes me so sad is you have these little girls who are friends with Cece who are magical little divine beings. And then you have Cece, who's this magical little divine being. And if y'all are listening, you'll have kids, they're magical little divine beings. They just need some guidance, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't let them turn into terrorists. They're all going to be terrorists at some point. Like, we just have to get them out of that, okay? But like, they're divine beings. And it made me sad because something I did is affecting her friendships.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the fascinating thing at that same moment in time, we had a huge timeline shift. 4 timelines collapse into one, and the Schumann resonance looks like a hurricane. That would be like my best example. Like it was all, and then right at that moment, I'm having that conversation and I'm having that meltdown is exactly when the Schumann resonance went into hurricane mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God. And then I'm talking to you and I'm just like, I'm crying. I'm sad. I'm like upset. Go ahead.
And for context, the Schumann resonance is it measures the energy and the
electromagnetic fields of the planet. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why we're saying like the timeline shift and like the measurement of it.
Yeah. And so there's one person I follow I really love. She gives a daily update on the timeline on the Schumann resonance. We should link that up. I think she's phenomenal and she's very intuitively guided. She's been doing it for years. She's been tracking it every day for years, which means her information is like spot on. And I got that report the next day. I was like, motherfucker, that's what we were going through, right? Now, in my upset, right? And Ronnie is great at always, like, we coach each other. Like, Ronnie's my go-to, I'm Ronnie's go-to, and like, we coach each other. And like, in my upset, Ronnie was like, why would you attract this? Like, what is this about? You know? And I'm like, look, we're ascending into the new earth. Like, we're ascending things. And so what's going to happen is we're going to leave behind these lower frequencies if you're so choosing. And that's like, as a listener, you guys listening to this, you want to say, am I choosing that? Am I choosing the higher ascension? To choose the higher ascension, and what I know is I have this, I'm an Aries rising. I just have this fierce energy, and I'm like steadfast in my Aquarius energy of like collective and care for and like love and like all the work I've done to myself. And so you just go like, in the ascension, for some people, there will be fierceness that will be associated with it. And what we will have to let go of kindly, gently, with gratitude is the lower frequency. And I just had this like, these parents, they're in that lower frequency. They're doubling down in the old paradigm. And the old paradigm of victim, perpetrator, that's like, we've talked about that a lot, right? There's the victim perpetrator paradigm. And it's like, okay, no problem. But like, that's not where we're going. And so it was unpacking that a bit and settling into that a bit, but seeing it in real time. And I think I told you, and I even called my ex-husband back again, because I was like, there's going to come a time where they just won't even exist in our timeline anymore. We won't even know that they were ever there, and we're going to keep going up this way together. And whoever's in our field is going to join us. So that's one aspect of what it can look like as we ascend. And I think if y'all listening had some like fast and furious shit go down on Wednesday, you're not alone. That shit was cray cray. I was like WTF multiple times, right? And really questioning like, okay, I live in this beautiful mountain town, but how many things are actually misaligned at the moment? And what would be more aligned for us moving forward? And so that also activated that conversation for a full like conversation of moving out of the county, which I probably would have never considered moving out of the county like 2 months ago. But I can see that that's 100% on my trajectory now.
So then as we are in the transition period, like we're starting to notice not just like the new earth exciting good changes, but also like, oh, now we're going to start bumping up against these uncomfortable, it'll be more in the face, like the discomfort of the things that are out of alignment, and staying strong in what we want, what we desire, and you said like the moral, like standing strong in like our moral compass, maybe?
Yeah, the moral, I would say like a moral, because I've been playing around with what is the language that I'm trying to find. And I feel like it's like moral correctness, like a moral alignment of collective and humanity and kind of, goodness.
I don't
know if it's that.
It makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I think of as we're talking about this is this gal who did a skit on TikTok, and it was like, oh, I want $1 million. And then the angel is like, oh, okay, you have to quit your job. And she's like, what? But I want more money. Why would I quit my only source of income? And she's like, well, you need the time and the energy to like pursue the things that you want and the things that will be, exciting and high vibrational. And your job is just keeping you down. You're not in the high vibrational energy of the thing that you want. And you have to quit your job if you want the $1 million. And she's like, oh no, I can't do that. I can't quit my source of income. I need the security and the stability. And so then you never have access to $1 million. So like in this, like, obviously that applies if you're looking to manifest more money, but in the same realm, if you are maybe doubling down on the thing that's more comfortable, that you think is more secure, that you think will get you there, instead of the discomforting action that may be more intuitively aligned.
So the way that I would describe that almost is like we're ascending and it comes back to 3D and 5D, right? I don't know if I specifically would there's something else I would describe it as, but like that's the best way. right? 5D, so 5D would have access to all time, space, dimension, reality. You can manifest like this. You can call something in like this. There is no time limitation. There's no money limitation. There are like no limitations in 5D. 3D has all the limitations. So we have scarcity and fear and can't and figuring it out. In the 3D, we live here in the head. The brain has only been designed to calculate what happened. We use it to we use it now to calculate the future based on the past. That's 3D limitation. In 5D, it is intuition. It is like your awareness, your guidance systems, your truth, like where you're headed. And so like what you're describing, 100%, it's like, well, you could be a millionaire, but you have to quit your job. Everything that shows up that's contracted and limited, that next thing that shows up, that is 3D limitation. So if you want to ascend into 5D, you got to be like, oh, I have scarcity and I have fear and I have doubt. Oh, wait, that's all bullshit, you know? And like, what do I desire? I desire to say, okay, well, what is my intuition saying? What do I sense? And what do I know? And what am I choosing? And the more that people are choosing on that path for the ascension, the more we're all going to get there faster. But the more that people are going to experience all that magic of like, yeah, be a millionaire and yeah, attract all the things that you want like this.
So give me like 2 or 3 takeaways that people can start implementing right now as they finished this episode.
To ascend,
like to their ascension, that like using the law of attraction for their benefit to ascend.
Well, so law of attraction, like attracts like, so you're always attracting wherever you are, period. To find out what you're attracting, you want to ask deeper questions, better questions about the situation, similar to what we did on Wednesday, right? Like we're asking the deeper questions and I'm understanding, I'm attracting this so I can see the separation happening in real time, right? Like I could see it in real time. So it's growing the awareness. It's growing the muscle to be bold in choice. Because it takes something to leave behind those human limitations. It takes something. You have to trust and you have to know and you have to be aware and you have to honor your higher self. Like you have to like that's all part of the ascension, right? And so that trust muscle has to be super strong. And then you just have to do it over and over again until it becomes like breath, like air, like solid, right? So it's like, I could be in the midst of a breakdown, but the first thing I'm going to do is call you, right? And then I'm going to be like, I just want to cry. And then we're going to like talk through things of like, why? And then I can see, oh, it's for me to observe what the separation actually looks like. It's for me to see this. And then it's for me to choose a different location to actually live in, right? And not just because this one instance. I'm not moving because of this one instance. Okay, people?
It's been some other things that have happened in the last couple months.
100% that I'm like, oh. Yeah. And I'm also scheduled to put my house up for sale in like 3 months, right? So like, isn't that serendipitous? Pay attention to serendipitous too, right?
So it sounds like it's building the trust muscle over and over again, trusting your intuition, trusting your path, and also not doubling down on the immediate reactions that tend to show up. Like sometimes what shows up when you get upset is like, oh, I just want to be alone. I just want to scroll for 3 hours. I just want to like go like avoid that thing and not talk about it and not do anything about it. So like not honoring of that anymore, but like, okay, like let me get more aware of this situation. Let me get more aware of where I'm at, my energy, why I'm attracting this, what's showing up.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, cool. Any other takeaways? I would also say like holding the vision. Like if what we said about the new Earth is resonating for you, like again, take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and build what it does look like for you. And hold that vision even when you feel doubtful or fearful or you're watching the news and it doesn't seem to align. Like continue holding your vision of what you want and what you desire. If you're not sure what that is, reach out to us. I'm doing complementary point of attraction assessments right now where we can build that vision. We can identify the number one thing in the way, and we can illuminate what there is to shift your point of attraction from where you are, from where you want to be.
Well, and to take that one step further, not only do we have point of attraction assessment calls, and they're complimentary and they're free, and you can have a private session with an expert like Ronnie, you know what I mean? Like, not only that, but it's what the Beyond Human method was designed for, frankly. Like, when I started doing, like, curating this program 10 years ago, like, we just realized that, right? It was like,
that like blew your mind. You're like,
I mean, time, like, what time? Yeah, so 10 years ago was when I shifted from one-on-one work to actually creating this program, like this foundational program. And it's been like crafted, curated, and shifted and changed over 10 years. And to get to the point where we are experiencing this shift, we're experiencing the separation, we're experiencing the new earth, and we're ushering it in. And the training is to take you beyond human limitations in that limitless state. It's like serendipitously also blowing my mind that like it all culminated. Thank you. Right now. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even going to try it. Can't get my tongue around that one today. And it all is happening like right now at this time, right? And I think that's really mind-blowing to like trust my path and trust my purpose and trust this thing and like keep curating it over and over and over and get to the point where it's like, oh, because now we have the Beyond Human method. And what do? We will literally guide you to live in that space, right? Mm-hmm. And so, you know, and just as a caveat, like the point of attraction assessment, if you ever want to do work with us in that flagship program, you have to do the point of attraction assessment. You have to go through like our free limitations training. Like you have to do these 2 free things in order to work with us, because we want to ensure that like we're a good fit for you and you're a good fit for us. Like it's just a win-win, right? Like it's you get to have this. And if you find out like we're not a fit, that's cool, because like what we've done is we've unleashed this methodology and this training and like given you real value that you get to take out in your life. If you are a good fit, we've already laid the foundation to like rock and roll, and you know what we're all about, right? And so like it's like that one extra piece of like, holy turd balls, like the Beyond Human method got created, and now we're at this like point, and it's like I'm here for it, you know? So yeah. So like, y'all take it seriously. Like if you're interested in the Ascension, like hook it up with Ronnie Bonnie. They're rad.
And we just opened enrollment. We only open enrollment for like 4 times a year. And we're super excited to take on a new group of people.
100%.
And support in this ascension.
Yeah, 100%. So that's our invitation to you. Ronnie will put links somewhere for something, I'm sure. You got that.
I got that. That's logistics. That's my job. All right, well,
I'm just here to chat.
Well, before we hop off today, we have 2 questions from the community. So this is a new segment we want to do on the podcast. We want to answer 2 questions from people at the end of the show, and give our feedback to you guys. So it can be like a symbiotic relationship. We're not just.
By the way, I love this idea. I think this is amazing. We get questions all the time, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta like respond and do a video. I gotta respond to a video, and then it's like, oh, we can just do it here. This is amazing. So like,
we can just do it here.
Yeah, I'm super in love with this.
Okay, so I think this first question is great because you just did a video on the save me energy. Yeah, like waiting on Kamala Harris to come in and save us, or like waiting on somebody else to come in and save us for us to do the thing, right? A lot of people resonated with that video, and we had a question. What is the difference between divine feminine energy, which is a big energy of receiving, like sitting back and receiving, versus the save me energy and relying on somebody else to save me?
I mean, it sounds self-explanatory, but let me see. Okay, so the save me is this is how I define it. It's like a toxic feminine trait. everything in patriarchal system has created toxic masculinity and toxic femininity, because at the top of the I never have straight answers, do I? Shit. I just realized that we're going to go for it every single time. Hope you like it, guys. Okay. So the patriarchal system has created toxic masculinity and toxic femininity. We spend a lot of our time in our head, and at the top of the patriarchal system is always man, right? So God is a man, like Father, Son, Holy Ghost, man. Patriarchal systems always have men in charge inside of government, inside of businesses, inside of whatever. Women learned what was valuable based off of what men do, which means there's a lot of weight added to the doing of things. So women have been taught to do and do and do and do, because men are doers and we see that that's valuable. And so we're going to relate our value to the doing. A toxic feminine nature then is the opposite of the doing, which is save me from the doing. So it's like front of the hand, back of the hand, right? So, and it's what we were trained that, oh, men could save us from the doing. Like that's really the only value of male-female relationships, is men would save us from the doing. But all of that, again, goes back to like Snow White, Cinderella, and however we were trained that relationships, quote unquote, should look like provide and protect. But like men, like what are they protecting us from? But men, it's like super weird. Okay. So when we're talking about save me, we just have to understand that it encompasses all of those things, right? It is the toxic masculinity energy that we were trained that gives us some sort of attention. It gives us, that's then, if you save me, I can now receive. This is how I receive, is I have to be a victim. I have to be weak. I have to show you all the places where I'm messy and fucked up.
To be struggling.
Yes. And that's how now you will pay attention to me and take care of me. Not divine whatsoever, right? In divine, so divine masculine and divine feminine. Divine feminine is like, I mean, for those women out there, we give birth. There is an actual portal between our legs from other dimensions. We make life. If nothing else, your partner should look at you and be like, what the fuck kind of magic is that? Okay. Instead, we like pass it off. Do you know what I mean? It's like just what you should give birth and get back to work. We should have a fucking vacation for 3 months after that. I made eyeballs. Bitch, show me where your eyeballs are, okay? That was made by a woman. That's how magical women are, right? So divine is honoring of that magic, like the lifetimes of women being quote unquote witches, which just means we're connected to the earth. We use our intuition. We like make things happen, and it's magic because it doesn't make sense in a 3D world. Now all those women got burned because we were in a patriarchal system and we don't like magic, right? So the divinity of it and the divine feminine of receiving means to receive for no reason. You got no reason for it. You're just going to receive. You're going to receive magic, and you're going to receive love, and you're going to receive adoration. You're going to receive attention, and you're going to receive gifts. But just because you're like divinely female. And the divine masculine, if the masculine is in the divine, will serve the feminine. That is the OG divine system. And that is actually what we're going back to, by the way, right? Like, so if you start to notice the men who are not in relationships with women, they in toxic masculinity. We have a whole epidemic of men single because they in toxic masculinity. The men who are thriving are in the divine masculine, creating partnerships with the divine masculine energy, allowing women to embrace divine feminine.
Okay. I would add a point to that, because being in your divine feminine energy, again, it's not male, female either. It can be,
yeah.
It is not gender specific either. The energy of divine feminine, the energy of divine masculine, but the divine feminine energy is being in your power, knowing your
Yes.
value, knowing your worth, knowing your power, being in your power. I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, it's like a orchestrating, like a directing of the energy, and like a directing the energy, while the divine masculine tends to the doings
Yes.
of everything.
100%. Thank you very much. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we went over this on the Wednesday call a bit, right? So on the live session, we did we had like 4 elements of it. There's like, in the divine feminine, there is a fierceness. And I think that in a toxic feminine, there is niceness.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're in niceness, you're in toxic femininity. If you're in fierceness, you know you're in the divine feminine, because every archetype of feminine that I have integrated and studied and been a part of and like put in my cells and in my DNA has been fierce feminine energy. Mary Magdalena, fierce. Mother Mary, nice. We learned that she was nice. That was the toxic. We learned that Mary Magdalena was a whore. That was how we were trained, because she was fierce, right? So like, you just kind of start to look at that and you go, like, look, Kamala Harris, fierce. AOC, fierce. Jasmine Crockett, fierce. Like, these are divine feminine in government showing us what's what. Claudia Scheibaum, fierce. And also love. Do you know what I mean? And so there's this receiving and there's fierceness. Like, there's all of this, right? And like, not with, like, so I think one of the things I have butted up against is when you're in a patriarchal system and I am power and I am fierce and I request something just because, if I'm not struggling, almost nobody will give it to me because of the patriarchal system. And that's an interesting thing, right? I think that answered the question. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Beautiful.
Yeah.
We have one more.
For sure.
So I'm going to try to summarize it because it's a bit long with the story that was given in the comment. But been working on raising my vibration, but my spouse is not addressing like his vibration, has traumas. He's not into spirituality. Is there anything I can do to help, or even help him see that he needs to do something about it? So this would be a question for like women who are developing and growing and their spouse is not doing the same. How would you address that?
I don't think they gonna like my answer, but we'll see. Okay, so this happened with my spouse and I, frankly, right? So, and to give people context and background, my ex-husband was my coach in my first personal growth and development program. And I was obsessed by my growth and development and my spirituality. And I went from type A personality, like woo-woo shit, go fuck yourself, into like, oh, I'm super woo-woo and like witchy and like all the things now. Okay. So, but like, I've invested $150,000 in myself. I've done 53 programs. I've worked with masters everywhere. Like, I love growing myself. I'm doing it. I'm doing it when I'm taking a shower. I'm doing it when I'm taking shit. I'm doing it when I am doing it all the time if I'm in the car. That's how obsessed I am. I went that direction and he went the other direction. Like, he stagnated. He actually didn't like, it wasn't even a little bit. It was like he doubled down on resistance, right? That's not a match. How many times did I talk to him? A lot. How many times did I request? A lot. But he ultimately has to make the choice. It has to be his journey. And he's on a different journey. And that may be part of our separation of Earth. So the question that I would have for this person is, how attached are you to this person being the person and the only person, right? Like, we have significant attachments on how we want our life to look like and how life looks. And you have to be willing to release that to have something better come in. And I'm always proof of that, right? Like, we got some magic coming in now for Tam Tams, right? But it's the fierceness to honor yourself and what is for you, to give this partner choice. Now, look, I work with all the partners I've ever had. lovingly having conversations, guiding them to what I sense and see, showing them the direction of where I want the relationship to go and my union with them to go and how deep I want to be connected to them. And they get to choose, but be okay with their choice and give them a choice. Allow them to have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't give them a choice, they don't have a choice to ascend quicker. If you're keeping it to yourself. If you're being a dick, now you're just being a dick. Don't be a dick, right? But like come at it from love and ascension together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then be okay if it's like not this person. Because I guarantee you, if it's not this person, there's a whole better one ready for you. Guarantee you. I have never worked with anybody who left a person and then found a worse person after that. Never. It's never happened.
I think that can open up a can of worms too with relationships, and especially like in the ascension that we're talking about, like what that looks like with relationships and having to let go potentially of somebody, and that can be really uncomfortable, especially if you've like built a life together. And so like I don't know, I think that could be a can of worms. That could be our next topic next week potentially. We'll see. I don't know, give us a comment, write us an email if you want to see a particular topic, or if you have questions. If you want one of your questions answered next week, please let us know. You can comment on the video on the podcast, or you can email me, Ronnie, RONNIE, at thebeyondhumanmethod.com. Please feel free to reach out to us. Anything else you'd like to add or share as we wrap up today?
I mean, do I look tan? I just got back from Mexico. Like, do I look a little bit more tan? You can say no.
A little bit. But, you know, the baseline to start with was not very strong either, so.
Never is. Never is. I was just like, did I get a little tan? Just a little
tanner than me. That's something.
But the melanin is not strong over here with us. There's like little to no melanin. No, I think, again, I always want to leave people with like, it's your choice to ascend. It's your choice to take the next step. It's your choice to have conversations. It's your choice to like be strong right now. It's your choice. Like, you know, choose what's authentic for you. Trust the outcome. That's the best we got. You know, it's super easy.
Beautiful. Beautiful way to end it. All right. Closing out. I've been Ronnie. This has been Tamara. We'll see you next week. Next week's episode.
Next week I'll be Ronnie and they'll be Tamara. I've been Ronnie. They've been Tamara. We're gonna switch it up next week. We'll see who we get, and we'll see you all next week.
We'll see you next week. Oh.